Hello everyone, my name's Vic Gilgis and I'm here to provide you with another podcast entitled Sourness and Greed Ruins Lives. The purpose of my podcasts, hopefully, is to improve your well-being and mine. So today I'm going to talk basically from my experience I've just had in going to a holiday in Italy. And I suppose it was what they call a solo holiday. So in other words, people go there, I suppose, so they can fit in or not fit in as they wish to do. I'm a grandfather and I called it myself a grab a granny holiday. And it turned out to be the holiday from hell. And I love Rome, I love Italy, and I went to different places in Italy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Rome, which is one of the places I went to. And I know that I'm very privileged to be able to go to on a holiday like that, where a lot of people can't. And all I can say about that is that most of my formative years as a kid never went anywhere because my parents didn't have any money, and then after that I didn't have any money, but now I can afford to do it, and so I benefit from it, and I'm trying to help you benefit from what I think I found out about life and places and people by going on that holiday. And the purpose of this is to say that I saw, and it's my view here, and I do it myself, is I can get very sour with my thoughts. And if I believe my thoughts, then I think the world is sour, I think I'm sour, I think everything is wrong, I start judging, and so on and so on. And then I start trying to perhaps take action around that, when in actual fact, it's just my thoughts, it's an illusion. And so the more I think about it, the more I get upset, the more my blood pressure goes up, etc. The more it ruins my life, and if I act on my sour thoughts, it can ruin other people's lives. So when we get up in our thoughts, all of us, not just me, we believe them, and if they're upsetting thoughts, then we can get upset in our lives and very lost in our lives. And we can get upset about anything, our job, a car, a holiday we have, as I've just said, and again, blaming things just makes us in this continuous loop of getting more upset. And on this holiday, everything went wrong. But just going away from that, I was thinking about times in the past, because I suppose in this podcast I'm going to talk about other people that I saw getting wrapped up in sour thoughts. And I'm here, I can say that I've done it myself when I was younger. An example here, when I first became an academic and I had to go into the town to go to a meeting, I nearly got run over. And I nearly got run over because I wasn't looking where I was going, and I was thinking about this meeting and what I should say and what they might say and what I might reply. And basically, when I got to the meeting, the boss of the meeting told me off for being late, when in actual fact I'd sat by the pavement collecting my thoughts, because I just was stressed out by nearly getting run over. And, the first thing that was said to me by the boss of the meeting was, why you didn't come early. And so I give him a piece of my mind. And of course, I didn't think. I was upset. And what good did that do me with the boss? No, it didn't do me any good at all. someone once remarked to me, in fact, a very good friend said, "Oh yes, Vic, you tell them, don't you? You told them so. What good has it done you?" And I think it must run in the family because my middle brother, Robert, he was just like this, and he worked for a pharmaceutical company, and one of the bosses there, well, the boss that he had a run-in with him, a big argument, because my brother was upset, and rightly so, what had been done to him. He expressed his feelings, and basically from there on, his career was a bit stifled because of this kind of animosity that he had in his own mind and that he created with his boss. And of course you should fight for your rights and all the rest of it, but it's like the traffic light system. You should stop, look and listen. And now, when going back to the holiday thing that I've just come back from, as I've said, it was the holiday from hell because I thought a lot of the moaners and groaners that I saw on the holiday, their rules about things, their judgments about things, have become their way of life, and I don't think they knew what they were doing. Just to give you some, in other words, this just upsets your whole psyche when you get used to judging and complaining and not being satisfied. You forget that there is part of life. In fact, it is the main part of life is the greatness of life. You miss seeing out on this side of things, the beauty of life, the goodness of life, the kindness of life, because your mind is focused on just the opposite. And it's focused on what is not real because it's all in your mind or my mind. So what happened? Things like this that happened to me. I took a picture in the Uffizi Gallery, and this lady who was part of the party on the holiday, the group, told me off for taking a photograph, and okay, I shouldn't have done it. The rules and regulations where you don't take photographs, and that was that. But what she did was, later on, the guide come to me personally and told me off, saying that I'd been spotted taking a photograph. So she'd spragged on me. I mean, what a way to go about things. But, that was then another time. I was going across the road, and again, I'm a bit of a daydreamer. A car nearly hit me. This happens in Italy because the drivers, they just, even if there's a zebra crossing, they still, aim for you. I think they do anyway. But I'm judging there. And I got told off again. Oh, you should be very careful. It's in Italy because the drivers are like that. Vicky, not paying attention, all the rest of it. Was in, again, I think it was the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, masterpieces by Botticelli, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, what have you. And I was walking along, and there's all these sculptures, life-size. And basically, another woman in the party remarked and said something like, "Oh my God, every other statue is showing a willy." And so, which was true. I mean, Michelangelo, I think, liked kind of, chiseling out, masterpieces of naked men who have willies. But this woman didn't like this. She was not happy about it. And because she said that to me, she stood next to me. And I said, my reply was, well, just think, Michelangelo must have been a brilliant sculpturist, because one false move with his, chisel, and the man would have been turned into a woman. She turned round to me and said, "I think that's disgusting. Will you please stop talking about willies?" I mean, so again, another occasion, we was in a winery looking at, a vineyard, and after we'd been around the vineyard, the host was showing us, giving us samples of white wine and red wine, and I had, a similar amount of drink, Again, a different, and it was a woman, and sorry if I'm sounding misogynistic here, but you know, the majority of people on this solo tour, there was 4 men and 14 women. And she told me, she says, I think you've had enough to drink there, don't you? My husband drank too much, and he was a functioning alcoholic, but he eventually died because he drank too much. So, you know, try and refrain. Well, you know, there we go. So it's all about thinking, a way of thinking about things that we then have to go around the world or with others trying to fix things. When we get preoccupied with our thoughts, we miss out on life, because we're that concerned with this repetition of what we think should be, what we think is wrong, what we dislike, that our kind of scope is that we are looking for all this instead of looking for what's good. We're looking for what's bad, because that's has become our default setting. It doesn't have to be like that. And so we're just basically getting preoccupied with our thoughts instead of being aware of life and what's in front of us. And this seeps, as I've said earlier, into our emotional psyche. It can drain us. It's like an emotional stress that is there. We can become upset all the time. And again, I am guilty of that. In my younger days with my career, I was always kind of on top of things, you know, clenched thinking about things. Have I done this right? I've done it wrong. Will I get up there, or will I slide down the greasy pole? And so all it ended up doing with me was giving me diabetes and blood pressure. And so just general, give me ulcers, debilitation of that nature, because basically that's all that you're living is in a thought created stressful world, and it doesn't have to be like that. So when you can see that with the power of thought, that the power of thought can move universes, that you know, the power of thought, you've got the switch to switch that type of thing on or off, and realize that what you think becomes your reality. So if you think things are bad, that becomes your reality. So a thought becomes reality. That thought is not necessarily real. It is what you think is the situation. And if you think things are awful, think things are less, think things are scarce, think things aren't right, then that will become your torturing reality, and it doesn't help your health one bit. So the power of thought is yours, means that you can switch that type of thing off. And that's what the principles tell us. The 3 principles, the inside-out approach to thinking, as told to us by Sydney Banks. It tells us that we're the thinker, that we're in charge of our thoughts. So we can look towards a different direction. We can look towards calm. We can get distracted away from our looping thoughts on misery and things not being right. And when we stop that type of thought, we get to see something new. If we keep on with that type of repetitive thought, we just see what is stale. So when you think it less, you'll start to see it leaving your life. That's true. The less emphasis you give to particular thoughts, the less credence you give to them, the less or the more that you switch off from those type of thoughts, then basically your way of seeing things anew will start to improve. And when you stop using this critical mind, it allows something new to kick in. So it helps to get to know the triggers you have when you start doing this. Realising the particular moaning and groaning habit that I have or you may have, which sets us off. With less upsetness, more new thoughts can come through. I think I told you in one of the podcasts, I went for a walk in the woods concerning some argument I'd had with one of my daughters, and the difference it made, just being in nature and just letting myself calm down, it gave me some new thought about what to do about the situation that has greatly improved my relationship with my wonderful daughter. I've got two lovely, wonderful daughters. So, you get more joy when you go to freshness in life. There's no joy in stale, upsetting thoughts. And the reward or the attraction of moving away from upset thoughts is that you can realise that it's an illusion, or those thoughts are an illusion that don't have to be fixed. In real life, you don't have to be upset. Of course, we all do get upset, but what I'm saying is that when you're looping around with upsets, it's not that you can't see a way out of that. When you stop that looping around, then you get to know what to do because you switch into a different way of thinking. So, I hope that I'm illustrating that we have the incredible power to calm down. And the good thing about this is that, as the three principles show us, when we get upset, it's like a barometer, it's like a signal to tell us that we're in bad thinking. And when you realise that, you can move away and look in the opposite direction, then you start to fall into a beautiful feeling. What I'm saying is you get something when you don't get upset. You lose sight of a good feeling when you do get stressed with things. Let better thoughts come in. Move away from those habitual upset thoughts. And this is true, that we have this in the corporate world, where very powerful people are always uptight about this, that and t'other, creating cultures of blame, aggression, competitiveness of the wrong type. It doesn't spawn creativity. So instead of learning organisation, we have a critical organisation, a critical culture, a judgmental culture, one based on all the wrong values. So what I call bad power, aggressive power, strength power, in the wrong type of strength, is the leader instead of soft power. And more in today's society, we're realising that soft power through poetry, music, relaxation, just recently hugging trees, it calms you down, helps you. So, when we are aggressive, harsh, judgmental, we stop listening. And what I'm saying is that a clear mind can help you get through things, help you get through to the next step. So, my best bet to get a better outcome with others is just to calm down to that type of thinking. And as I've said earlier, upsetness is just a signal to switch to feelings of, just doing that and getting your mind clear of that just moves your mind into feelings of love and understanding, because that's what we're really built of. That is our true essence. So our true essence isn't thinking upset thoughts. Now, going back to Rome, on this Italian trip I went on, one of the things that I noticed was that the Romans built their systems around fresh water. So, and when I say fresh, that it was flowing, because it would not be stagnant water, which is unhealthy. Flowing water, and that's the same. That's a metaphor for our thinking. Stuck thoughts, repetitive thoughts, not seeing that you're doing that, just stagnates things, and it's not good for your health. So that's the metaphor of Rome, is flowing water, not stagnant water, creates health, healthy outcome. And that's what I'm saying, is with fresh thought, you get new insights. And that is a natural, that's got to come. So when you kind of quieten down to those upset thoughts, then, in other words, thoughts of criticising, judging, condemnation, all associated with a kind of a misled righteousness that we people can have, just keeps us stuck in that mindset. When we're out of that mindset, we get to see the wonder of life in front of us. And other things that I could point out about Rome is just what I think this upset me even more was just the greed for big profit. The city and the businesses surrounding the religious sites, just based on silly prices, making the common public pay through the nose. I just saw it as corruption and false religiosity. I got a large bottle of beer in this was not in Rome, in one of the villages, for a large bottle of beer for €3. In Rome, at the hotel, I paid €9 for a thimbleful of beer, for a small bottle of beer. And I'm absolutely sure that the doorman who opened and closed the doors for everybody couldn't afford to drink there himself. It was just, and the excuse that was given, and I call it an excuse, is that they said everything costs more because we have to maintain things and keep it as it was. I just don't agree with that. I think everything costs more because they greedily want to make more from the poor people that gave them all these churches and cathedrals, from subscriptions that they made to have them built in the first place. The churches, the cathedrals. They're just profiting ridiculously on. They're making money out of religion, which is terrible. I get a quote here, not a quote, the lyrics, part of the lyrics from a Bob Dylan song, which I'll read to you. Well, God's in his heaven and all is right with the world, and all we want, what is his, but power and greed and corrupted seed seem to be all that there is. I think that sums it up. I'll read that again. Well, God's in his heaven and all is right with the world, and we all want what is his, but power and greed and corrupted seed seem to be all that there is. Isn't that brilliant? That's why Bob Dylan's brilliant. And so my lesson here is, I hope, and I try to give it to myself, I hope to give it to you, when we get preoccupied with thoughts on profit, we're misvaluing what's real. And what's real is people and life. And that's what I've got to say on that. So, as I've said, power of thought, you're at the switch. What we think becomes our reality. If money is the God, then people and meaning in our life suffers. When we think it less, we see it leaving our life, which is, as I've said. When new thought comes in, when we stop doing that, and that when we stop doing that, new thought does come in, we can do something because do something better with ourselves and our life, because we start seeing the real values of love and peace that is really meant in these cathedrals and churches. So what I'm saying is our virtues that are naturally there, our essence, our wisdom kick in, and they kick in and serve our natural well-being. And I think when we can switch off from that, we get to see for ourselves the illusion that we pursue, the triggers that cause that, the moaning habit. And again, I'm saying we have the switch to switch it off. Switch off that negative, unrewarding path which obscures the truth. Now, about 2 hours ago, I went round Beeston, which is near where I live in Nottingham, and I bumped into different people I knew, but one person that I bumped into, call him Alex. Let's call him Alex. I had a quick chat with him. He goes to a mental health resource centre in Beeston, and he took these juggling balls out of his pocket and started juggling, and showed that he could do 2, and then he could do 3, and then he showed me how he could juggle 3 balls with one hand. I thought it was, and I noticed that he was, because this guy suffers from depression, severe depression, but I noticed just how happy he was just doing this. And of course, the reason he's happy, and I could see it there, is that the juggling distracted him from his normal thoughts of condemnation for himself, miserable thoughts about himself, miserable thoughts about life. Because he was preoccupied with thinking about juggling these balls, then he was happy and he was laughing and he was pleased about what he was doing, and he was just happy. And that juggling metaphor, I think, is a metaphor for life. Is that instead of juggling with those type of bad thoughts, that we can juggle with what really matters in life, helping, enjoying, less comparison, more be kinder, more being what we really are, which is totally loving, instead of what this is all about, instead of being sour, being greedy, things which just ruin life. So I've gone on a bit, and if you feel that I'm kind of making judgments on yourself, I've made judgments about myself, all I can say is that when I've been like that, it hasn't helped me. And if you're like that, it hasn't helped you, that there is a way out, because the power of thought, as Sydney Banks' 3 principles shows us, we can easily move past that and switch on to a different system of thought, which is full of wisdom, full of joy, full of love, because it's always there. And our judgmental, intellectual mind cannot see this. So, we'll come on to some breathing, just to relax and settle ourselves down. So let's breathe in 4s. So just settle now, relax, and breathe in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. You're back to normal breathing. Just relax. Sitting in your chair, just relax from the top of your head. Nice and relaxed scalp, forehead, your temples, just relaxing, going down through your cheeks, soft jaw, relaxed, down to the relaxed muscles in your neck. Soft, go down to the soft and easy shoulders. Going down, relaxing through your chest, all those tiny little muscles. Relaxing down through your arms, your upper arms, relaxing. Down to the muscles in your forearms, that's right, just settling down. Relaxed tummy, down to relaxed hips, so relaxed, that's right. Your bottom so relaxed and supported easily by the chair. Easy and relaxed. Right down through your thighs, the muscles relaxing. Calves, all the muscles there just relaxing down. Easy. Soft ankles, down your feet, right down, relaxed to the tips of your toes, that's right, so easy and relaxed. So, it's turned out nice again. I hope that's helped. And I hope it's helped you with insights around the fact that sourness and greed can ruin our lives because it really strangles any freshness of thought. And that precludes us from seeing the moment-to-moment good life, which is always presented right in front of us now. Being stuck in any sourness and greed starves us of ever-awaiting wisdom, which is there, ever-awaiting wisdom, starves us of that to enjoy life's freely abundant joy and riches. So when we get out of our mind, out of any judgment, out into fresh thought, not that stale thought, not that type of miserable psyche which it holds on to, that can easily evaporate. We have the power to just shoo that away and get into a better emotional state through looking in the opposite direction to what is real, because that type of thought, judgmental, sour, not having enough type of things thought, greed, always, well, it's an illusion. It just starves us of what is always available and free in our lives. As soon as we move away from that type of thinking, just brings us back to what is real, the reality, our oneness, our essence, which is love and kindness and enjoyment. And it brings us the wisdom to enjoy all that in everything we do and see. So I hope that's been helpful. Hope to see you again. And thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you.